Hello my fellow gamers, it's Leo here again for another episode in the Gaming Cave. Miles Morales, my friends, it's here and the excitement is real, oh yeah! 2 years from his predecessor's release and opening up the door for the new generation console, Spider-Man Miles Morales is packing a punch. In this video we'll talk about our impressions of the game and things to consider before buying and playing the game. If this is your first time in the cave and you like the content, please smash the thumbs up, subscribe and activate that bell so you don't miss an episode from the Gaming Cave. Now without further ado, let's dive into it. With the release of Spider-Man PS4 in 2018, gamers were dazzled by it. When we got the chance to be in the suit of one of the most loved characters ever, it became one of the best superhero games across platforms, and after a long road of rumors, news, announcements and trailers, we finally have Miles Morales lock and load. Now this game comes with a new story, new enemies and new mechanics, but is this game worth buying on day one? Is it a game that can be considered worthy of a new generation console release? We'll see about that in the next few minutes. Even if you didn't play Spider-Man PS4, it won't matter when it comes to understand the storyline. It won't affect your game experience. This game comes as a standalone version of Miles Morales. However, the game itself gives you a bit of a recap of the past events in order to put things in context. But if you played the previous game, then it'll be even a more complete experience. For those who still don't own a PS5 or simply prefer to wait a bit longer before buying it, the game was also released on PS4, so don't worry, you'll still get to enjoy this little new jewel. In spite the fact that this game has branched out from Spider-Man PS4, you will still feel it as a new experience, meaning that while playing Miles, you will actually notice you're playing a different Spider-Man. Remember games such as Uncharted: The Lost Legacy or Infamous First Light? The baseline is the same, but it has enough unique elements to make it its own game. It is true that from the birth of Spider-Man as we know it, Peter Parker is the name we associate with it. However, Marvel has created a whole new universe of different characters that have worn the arachnid suit, and since 2011, when Miles Morales came to the stage for the first time, it has become one of the favorite among fans. Miles is a symbol representing minorities, which gives him a whole new scope in his approach to being Spider-Man. His story is more intimate regarding his home and family. He's always striving to protect them, and that's the cornerstone of the story. Miles is beaten by a genetically modified spider, and after that event, he seeks help from the person that would become his dear friend and tutor. From there on in, Miles has to learn how to balance Spider-Man's job and his personal life, which is no easy task. This game gives you control of a new Spider-Man that has new abilities and powers thanks to the more complex DNA combination of the spider that bit Miles. He has a power called Venom, which allows him to electrify his enemies to either stun them or increase the melee damage. But this power is not unlimited as it needs recharging, and to recharge the energy gauge, you'll use fight moves, air strikes, web slinging and web swinging. This power is great for crowd control when you're fighting multiple enemies at the same time, but it's also versatile enough to be very useful as well when fighting more powerful enemies, aka bosses. At the beginning it will feel a little weird when you're learning how to use it, but as you play through it, you'll definitely get the hang of it, and once you do, it will be like creating your own customized movie-like Spidey fight sequence with some really cool lightning attacks, giving a visual satisfaction that is difficult to describe. Miles has another new power which allows him to become invisible, but just like the Venom power, it is not unlimited. You will also have to fill an energy gauge, mostly by simply waiting. This new power is incredibly useful for stealth missions, giving you the upper hand right off the bat, or even if you're looking for a break while in an intense battle. Remember though, that even if you're translucent while using this power, enemies will detect you if they see you disappear in front of their eyes, or if you attack one of them while in line of sight of another one. In other words, you can go invisible, but the enemies are not stupid. As well as Venom power, the more you gain experience, the more upgrades you'll be able to make to this one. In essence, make less noise, or the capacity to regenerate your invisibility gauge while in combat. All these new powers plus a new range of animations definitely make you feel you're playing with a new Spider-Man. And then we have the cherry on top with Miles' voice.
Man, he's too good! How are the streets, Spider-Man? Honestly, kind of terrifying.
Which gives the game that freshness you're looking for when playing this title. We want to point out that while swinging across the city, you'll be able to do air tricks by using square button and left stick, which are great to increase your venom gauge and gain experience points, helpful in increasing your character's level. It is through mission completion though that you'll gain most of the experience points and ability points. The ability points you'll be able to use in the ability tree, and this tree has 3 branches: combat skills, venom skills, and camouflage skills. The higher the level, the more points you'll get, and don't worry about how you distribute those points, because near the end of the game you'll surely have maxed out your tree. Other improvements available are the gadgets and suits. In order to get them, you're gonna need tokens. You can get these tokens by completing secondary missions such as crime tokens, base tokens, city tokens, among others. Once you have enough, you'll be able to trade them for gadgets improvements like a higher capacity web shooter or a range increase for the gravity well. As well as that, you can buy perks that you can add to your suit to improve performance, such as faster venom recharge, extended dodge time, or locking enemies to walls. And finally, you'll be able to purchase suits. One of the favorite features for us fans, eh? But if you want all the suits available, you'll need all the collectibles, so you're gonna have to go for the 100% game completion. With this game being a new generation console opener, it was to be expected that the graphics quality was going to be mind-blowing. This new Spidey title includes 2 modes: fidelity and performance. The first one offers you a more detailed scope of the game with 4K resolution as baseline, ray tracing, extra effects, and 30 frames per second, whereas the other one exploits the frame rate to the max at an incredible 60 frames per second at the expense though of ray tracing, lighting details, and an escalated 4K. And you might wonder which one is the best. That, my friends, is completely up to the player, given that it's you at the end of the day who will be devouring this delicious treat that Insomniac has served us. Personally, I will play both fidelity for the first run and performance for the new Game Plus. But hey, again guys, it all comes down to personal choice. And New York is back, and let me tell you, it looks incredible. Given that the playground is once more New York, developers had to do something to make it a little different, and that's where winter comes in. Oh yeah, the city is having a very cold winter, so you can expect storms, water puddles, cloudy skies. You can also appreciate the snow and even Christmas decorations all around, indicating it's festivities time. I would have loved to explore new locations though, but I guess New York will have to do once more. Regarding all the characters' animations, you can see certain improvements, but nothing major compared to its predecessor. However, the reflection details on surfaces such as water and glass are amazing, which gives the game a very tasteful level of detail, even more so on a 4K HDR TV. The loading times are just something else. You can get out of the game and be back in action in around 20 seconds, and that includes when you restart a checkpoint or during fast travel. Another thing that's worth mentioning is DualSense controller experience, which has been one of the cornerstones of the PS5 release campaign. During Miles Morales, you will indeed feel certain resistance in the triggers while you swing, the subway vibrations when you're swinging near railways, as well as the hits you get while in combat. It might sound like a simple addition, but when you're playing Miles, it definitely adds immersion to the game. Now, the weakest point of the game is the storyline. Peter left New York for a while to attend some personal stuff and left you in charge of the city. You're then the only one during that time that can help the people of New York. You'll face Roxxon and the Tinkerer, which are the main 2 antagonists in this edition. You will learn different aspects in the life of Miles, such as family, friends, and his community. Even though the story has few twists and surprises, the story in general feels very linear, and apart from Miles, that connection with other characters in the game never happens. And that's including the villains, whom for this edition feel a little lacking on flavor and are not as grand as Dr. Octopus, for example. Now, this is most definitely not surprising when you factor in the length of the game. The story comprises 16 missions, and to finish them will take about 6 hours. There are secondary missions and extra tasks, but if you go only for the main missions, you will fly through the game. In fairness, the studio made the marginal note by saying that in spite of this game being a standalone, it was going to be a short one. If you are expecting a game with similar dimensions as the original one regarding length, then you could be disappointed. If you go for the full game completion, meaning 100%, you might get around 15 hours out of it, which I highly recommend. I have to say though, even going for the long run, once you see them credits roll out, it's almost impossible not to feel there could have been more. The micro stories within the game, mostly triggered by this new app that Miles introduces so that people can request his help, are entertaining but simple and short, leaving you wanting more. Miles is not fully developed yet as a superhero, and you will see training missions in the form of holograms that Peter meter left for him to complete across the game. These missions are to help Miles improve his speed, web swing, combat, and stealth. Once you complete these missions, you will get tokens, which in turn will allow you to unlock very useful abilities. Having all things considered, you're left thinking, is the game really worth the release price? Did they have it as a DLC in the pipeline but then decided to turn it into a console release opener? The truth is that despite the game being graphically fantastic and being a great game experience as Spidey, it's a bit hard to bite the bullet and just get it on release price. I have to be honest, when it comes to Spider-Man, I am indeed biased because I am a huge fan and I just had to get it. It was one of those times when I just closed my eyes and clicked purchase. But unless you're a huge Spidey fan, I can see why it could be a deal breaker to get it in the early days. There is a catch though. The Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales includes the PS5 remastered version of Spider-Man PS4, which is a nice bonus if you didn't play the original title and might tilt the balance to the buying side. Please keep in mind that this game will be about a fourth of the length of the original one for a higher price, so if you don't want to spend that kind of money but you still want to play Miles Morales, then I recommend you without a doubt get it on PS4. All in all guys, I hope this game is only the beginning of a nice, long and amazing road ahead for this franchise on PS5. And if you enjoyed this content, please drop a like, subscribe and hit the bell so you'll always know when there is new content out. I'll see you guys on the next video. Adios amigos!